According to study, young men are not mentally ill enough to vote Democrat. So this study just verifies what I've been saying over the years now, that the Democrat Party is the party for people with delusions. It's for people who really don't know where they fit in life, who really don't know if they're a man or if they're a woman, or, you know, if they're a dinosaur, or I've seen some people say they want to be called cats. Like, these loony loons are the ones that's part of the Democrat Party. And according to this study pretty much goes to prove that. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the study. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account. So follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from Outkick. And they report that one of the biggest stories in Washington over the next 4 years is whether Democrats can wrest back support among young men before the 2028 election. I don't think they will, because they're not changing their ways. They're not changing anything within the party. But to do that, the party must first understand why young male voters have flocked so heavily to the opposition party. American statistician Nate Silver dove into the question on Tuesday, finding that the mental health gap between men and women could be the crux of the divide. Citing a cooperative election study, Silver reported that around 40% of Gen Z males consider their mental health very good or excellent. By comparison, 20% of Gen Z females say the same. And I'm laughing because I've noticed this in my practice too. I have overwhelmingly more women in my practice than men. Now, let's look at party political preferences. According to the same study, 51% of conservatives say 51% of conservatives say they have excellent mental health compared to just 20% of liberals. When asked if they have poor mental health, 45% of liberals responded yes, juxtaposed to just 19% of conservatives. So here's the full breakdown of the study. So let's play this clip here. Here we go.
With conservative political views, 51 to 45% when it comes to excellent versus poor. Yeah. And I don't think the Democrats would have expected that.
I don't know, man. I didn't need a poll to know they were unwell. Just drive around and see someone wearing a mask in their car, and you know who they're voting for, and you know they're not okay.
Amen. That's it. People still riding around in vehicles with masks on. I mean, there are obviously something wrong with these people. Obviously. But it turns out righteous indignation and perpetual outrage, the two cornerstones of liberalism today, are not the keys to happiness in America. Put simply, those who report lower states of mental health, like Gen Z females, are more likely to vote Democrat. Further, Silver summarized that young men view Democrats as nits, which he defined as neurotic, risk-averse sticklers for the rules, always up in everyone's business. Wow, nits. What a clever term. Yeah, this is the first time I ever heard that term. Silver concluded that young men would rather be left alone than bombarded with explicit political messages. Meanwhile, the most mentally ill among us crave such messaging. They are attracted to messengers who preach change. Wow. Wonderful, wonderful study. And the Democrats' disconnect with young men runs even deeper than just the mental health divide. Consider the average Gen Z male voter. What exactly is the Democrat Party offering them? You know, other than calling them toxic, right? Preachy commentaries about how masculinity is toxic and how wanting to be a provider is misogynistic, nod to Harris Butker, DEI programs that are designed to discriminate against them if they are straight and white, as most male Gen Z voters are, fake tough guys like Tim Walz. Of course young men are leaning Republican. How could they not be? Quote, so the young men that Democrats have trouble with aren't necessarily the ones who have been captured by the conservative manosphere, or who are looking for a helping hand, Silver explains. Rather, it's those who report relatively high mental health and see Democrats as too neurotic and perhaps constraining their opportunity to compete and reap the rewards of their work. Well said, right? The Democrats don't need to lean into fake machoism to regain support among young men. However, the party does need to pivot dramatically. One idea: stop telling white, straight young men they are privileged and must atone for it. Stop trying to convince them to move out of the way for women, gay men, and trans people because it's their turn. There are no turns in meritocracy, and I'm all for meritocracy. Y'all know that's what I preach. Most importantly, stop trying to shame men for being men. Stop trying to feminize male culture with political buzzwords. A good rule of thumb: if your candidate is too self-important and beta to sit down with Theo Vaughn or Joe Rogan, don't expect to perform well with Gen Z men. In other words, don't expect the Democrat Party to address its disconnect with young men by 2028. That's what I've been saying. Now, it's not going to happen. Just look at the list of early Democratic frontrunners, from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to Kamala Harris, from Gavin Newsom to Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg would never, ever win. Never, ever, ever win. Y'all know why. I'm not even going to speak on it. Y'all know exactly why. Not exactly a quartet of people who young guys will want to sit and have a chat with now, is it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is a wonderful article, but y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Do y'all think, like me, that it's the people with mental issues have a high probability of being a Democrat? Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.